bunch of losers! You're working with a professional here! Nice fucking model! Go ahead. Make my millennium. Hey, I'm just doing my job. That's how we had a deal. Hey, it's okay. You know why? I don't want to do business with you deadbeats anyway. Thank you. The only one I think I can deal with is that ground-phone daughter. I think she understands.
Hello, Andy. Did you miss me, Andy? My friends call me Chucky.
I'm one of the most notorious slashers in history.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Hey, wanna play?
You have your mother's eyes, and they were always too
Fucking close together!
You just can't keep a good guy down.
It ain't the size that counts, asshole.
I am Chucky, the killer dog, and I dig it!
Gotta be fucking kidding me.
Don't fuck with the Chuck. Drive before I kick your fucking teeth in. You're a fucking natural.
You're a fucking drag.
No fucking way. You thought...
Who are you?
Rick Grimes.
Rick Grimes?
Give me Negan.
The hell is that?
That's Rick Grimes. Even if we wanted to deal now, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna kill you. And the only future is one where you're dead. I'm Negan.
You guys, which one of you pricks is the leader? Look at my dirty girl. You see him? She's a vampire bat.
Jason, my special boy. Do you know what your gift is? No matter what they do to you, you cannot die. You can never die. You've just been sleeping, honey. But now, the time has come to wake up. Mommy has something she wants you to do. I need you to go to Elm Street. The children have been very bad on Elm Street. Rise up, Jason! Your work isn't finished! Hear my voice and live again! Make them remember me, Jason! Make them remember what fear tastes like!
I've been away from my children far.
As we really are. The box. You opened it. We came. We'll tear your soul apart. You solved the box. We came. Now you must come with us. Taste our pleasures. It is a means to summon us. Demons to some. Angels to others. No tears, please. It's a waste of good suffering. Nobody escapes us. Out of the way. We have eternity to know your flesh. The Garden of Eden. The Garden of Flesh. Welcome to the worst nightmare of all. You should be very careful what you wish for. Pain. How dare you use that word? Pain has a face. Allow me to show it to you.
Find the devil. Now kindly undo these straps.
An excellent day for an exorcism. It would bring us together, you and us. La plume de ma tante. Your mother's in here with his carrot. Would you like to leave a message? I see that she cares. Stick your cock up her ass, you motherfucking worthless cocksucker. Your mother sucks cocks in hell, Karis, you faithless swine.
Keep away! This hour's mine. Fuck me! Fuck me! Fuck me!
You killed my mother!
Your servant!
You left her alone to die! Shut up! Forgive you! Shut up! Bastard!
The curse you out! Unclean spirit!
Shut up, your ass!
In the name of our Lord Jesus!
Fuck him!
Be gone!
Fuck him, Garrus!
From this creature of God! The power of Christ compels you! The power of Christ compels you! The power of Christ compels you! The power of Christ compels you!
Why don't you try some noodles? Worms. I mean, they're worms. They're only noodles, Michael. How are those maggots? Maggots, Michael. You're eating maggots. How do they taste? Michael! Over here. Come on, Michael. You don't want to miss this. Initiation's over, Michael. It's time to join the club.
Make some of this, Michael. Be one of us.
Michael.
I only want her dead breath!
Audio Jungle.
What's the matter, kid? Don't you like clowns? Don't we make you laugh? Aren't we fucking funny? You best come up with an answer, because I'm gonna come back here and check on you and your mom. If you ain't got a reason why you hate clowns, I'm gonna kill your whole fucking family. All right, now get your fucking ass out the car.
Stutter, bitch.
Two shoes, said the maiden.
Boy, the next word that comes out of your mouth better be some brilliant fucking Mark Twain shit, because it's definitely getting chiseled on your tombstone.
Well, I bet you'd stick your head in fire if I told you could see hell.
Hope you like what you see!
It's all true. The boogeyman is real. And you found him. No hanky-panky.
I said shut your fucking mouth! Listen, you Malibu middle-class Barbie piece of shit, I'm trying to work here.
Next thing you say, I better be some serious Mark Twain shit, because it's definitely getting chiseled on your grave.
Hey, lick my plate, you dog dick!
She is in the movie, and I can't really tell you. Well, I can tell you that she comes to no good. I'm afraid there won't be there won't be a sequel for Lucinda. She comes to a bad end. She does, which is great. Because I mean, you know, in the movie, not obviously in real life, honey, but it was very funny. Because I had mentioned to Rob when he said that he was going to, you know, he was writing a third installment. I kind of half in jest said, is there a way to give my wife a part in this? And, you know, I kind of laughed so that if in fact he didn't do that, it wouldn't be really that big a deal. But you know, some months passed and he called up and said, you know, the script is done, and by the way, there is a part for Lucinda, and also, and this is a big spoiler, I'm sorry, but he said, and you get to kill her. And I went, yes! It was awesome! Now, you know, it's not, you know, I love Lucinda dearly, but of course, you know, in horror movies, you know, being killed is actually a great honor. And, you know, so it was it's a lot of fun. She did a great job. So when you do see the movie, she plays a character called Nebraska. She's a bounty hunter with Bill Oberst Jr., and you'll see what I mean. She does a great job.
How was it coming back to the character and revisiting the character and refinding the character in your own mind after all those years?
Well, you know, thanks to conventions like this, Otis, and, you know, people like you, thank you very much for dressing like Otis, and you too, thank you, and you too, behind you. I mean, so Otis really never gets too far away from me, because I do a lot of, you know, horror conventions, etc. I did find that when I got on the set, one of the things that, you know, it had taken a long time. I think it's like 14 years since The Devil's Rejects. And so I was in my head, as actors tend to get, I was thinking like I wanted to honor the old Otis, but also to, you know, come up with a new Otis and expand. And I was kind of overthinking it. And we were doing one scene right at the beginning of shooting Free from Hell, and I had a kind of a short monologue, I guess, and I was fumbling the lines. I did a couple of takes, and I was just missing lines. Something was going on, and Rob was kind of looking askance, like, hey, Bill, hey, you know. And I said, give me a second here. So I sat down, I took a deep breath, let it out, and then I heard this voice in my head saying, Bill, get out of the way, I've got this. And it was Otis. And I think what really was happening there was like, we didn't really need the Hollywood actor, you know, kind of, you know, what's my better side or whatever. Just get out of the way, I got this. And as soon as I kind of acquiesced to Otis, everything went fine. Yeah, right back into it. So.
Okay, there are lots of you out there, so I'm going to open it up to questions in about 1 minute. Ben here is going to run with the mic, so if you have a question,
all right,
put your hand in the air, and we'll try and get to you as many of you as possible.
I do have one more anecdote just in terms of Sid. Sid and I used to, when we would go to conventions together, we would sit very close to one another. And invariably someone would come up to one of us and say, is there going to be a sequel to Devil's Rejects? And if they came up and asked me that, I'd say, hey, Sid! And he'd go, what? And I would say, is there going to be a sequel to Devil's Rejects? And he would say, nope. And I'd say, how come? And then we would count to 3, and then in unison we would say, because we're fucking dead! And clearly we weren't, as it turned out. And I was trying to figure out, a lot of people would come up with ideas like how there could be a third. One of the ideas, the worst was somebody wakes up and it was all a dream. It's like, that's lame. Another idea was that we did die. We went to hell, and we were so bad there that the devil rejected us. Hence the Devil's Rejects. The only problem with that, of course, is then we'd be supernatural, so that kind of sucked. And you know, I think Rob's idea was the best, and you'll see that when you do see the movie. We do survive, and really it's all because of the poor marksmanship of the Rugsville Sheriff's Department. You know, or as Rob said, rubber bullets. So that's a spoiler, sorry, but that's how we made it. You know, the gang that couldn't shoot straight.
Okay, Ben, that's you. First question?
Yes.
Somewhere over there. Somewhere over there.
By the way, I love Manchester, so thank you everybody for that. Great being here.
Manchester loves you.
Hello.
You were saying about Otis, he is one nasty character, yeah? And you said he kind of like took over a little bit in the film. How, when you play a role like that, do you manage to disengage with the character?
I was giving her the evil eye. Actually, I don't disengage. That's really more of a question for my wife and children. My children are very well behaved, let's put it that way. But, you know, actually, I just find that I'm able to leave it at work. You know, acting is a lot about the imagination. And I'm not what is called a method actor, so I don't have to be Otis for like 3 months, you know, and just stay there. I can really kind of turn it on and turn it off, would you say? Pretty much. I mean, I don't, you know, especially in Los Angeles, you don't really want to come home as Otis, or anywhere really for that matter. So it just really, I don't know, I guess it's maybe being an actor, you learn how to do that.
The question I'm sure you've been asked 1,000 times before is where the character comes from. How much of it is on the page? How much of it is in your heart, in your head? How do you develop something as abominable as him?
You know, it's very interesting. When I first met Rob Zombie back in October of 1999, I met him, I was emceeing a small horror award show at Universal Studios in Los Angeles. And I had been asked by Universal to come as Chop Top from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Thank you. And so I had a friend of mine who could do the makeup, so I came made up as Chop Top, wearing a tuxedo. And that's when I met Rob. Rob was one of the award recipients at this little award show. And so I handed him his award. I did the whole thing as Chop Top. And Rob was freaked out because Rob loved Chop Top, and that's how I got the part of Otis. When I got, you know, a month after I met him, I got a call saying, you know, do you want to be in Rob's movie? It just got greenlit. It's called House of a Thousand Corpses, and you'll be playing a character called Otis Driftwood. I said, great, you know, I'm an actor, and, you know, sounds good to me. At first I thought that Rob wanted kind of a rehash of Chop Top, his own version of Chop Top. But then I realized, you know, Rob, I don't know, for some reason Rob saw like more of a, you know, hard-ass Otis character in me. I thought he saw Chop Top, but he saw Otis, and he led me, he kind of pried my hands off Chop Top and led me slowly but firmly to Otis. And I really think of Chop Top as physically as kind of up in the shoulders. You know, he's kind of sketchy, and he's scratching his head, he's going, lick my plate, you dog dick! And it's all kind of up here, you know. And Otis is really down in right in the groin. It's like, you know, hey, fuck you! Down here. So that was the journey that, you know, went from the shoulders to the groin. And once that happened, you know, I was a better man for it, I think. Okay, yep.
Which film did you enjoy being in the most, and why? Which is your favourite film that you enjoyed being in?
Of my entire life, you mean, or?
Yeah.
You know, I've gotten to a place in my career where if I don't get hurt and the check clears, it's a good job. But I would have to say, really, when it comes right down to it, you know, you always go back to your first love, and for me, that would be the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2. I love Chop Top, you know, no offense, Otis, but I love Chop Top. It was the first time you know, because I came to the game kind of late in life. I was in my mid-30s when I got the job from Toby Hooper. And, you know, it was really amazing to me. It was like running away to join the circus and them asking you to stay. It was so much fun. I really couldn't believe my good fortune that you could actually make a living at work like this. I had so much fun playing Chop Top. Really lost myself for 2 months, or however long it took. Really had a great time. So I would have to say Chainsaw 2. Thank you.
There's a question from Terry.
Hi, Bill. Hi. Just wondering, if you could pick any other character to play, who would be and why?
Any other character to play? Yes, I think it would be Edgar in King Lear. You know, poor Tom's cold. You know, I'm pretty happy with the characters I played so far. I know that there's a movie that I would like to be in, and I don't think it's ever going to get made, but I'm a big fan of H.P. Lovecraft, and he has a great story. One of my favorite stories is At the Mountains of Madness. And there was a rumor there, in fact, I guess even a script, that James Cameron was going to produce a Guillermo del Toro script of At the Mountains of Madness. And I wanted to be in that more than really anything. It fell through because I think the Aliens, you know, the Prometheus Aliens movie, I think Guillermo said that was too similar. I don't see how it would have been or was, but that really would be my dream job. At the Mountains of Madness. So if you're doing one, you know, call me up.
Okay, another one, by the way. Hi, Bill. I was just...
hello. Yes.
I was just wondering, ask you a question about the Night of the Living Dead. You had a small part in there, but you were working with lots of Romero's people. What was that different compared to working with Toby Hooper's people and later on Rob Zombie's? Did you find any difference, or was it just all part of the same business?
It is. You know, I had worked with Tom Savini when I was doing Texas Chainsaw 2. Tom, the king of splatter, Tom Savini, was the head makeup guy. He designed Chop Top, he designed the new Leatherface, all of the makeups was Tom Savini. And after Chainsaw 2, a couple of years later, Tom got the nod from George Romero to direct the remake, the color remake of Night of the Living Dead. And Tom called me up and he said, hey, I'm directing the remake. I'm going to send you a copy of the script. I want you to read it and I want you to pick any character you'd like. I said, great. So he sent me the script, and it was interesting because as an actor, of course, you want the bigger the part, the more money you make, or at least that seems to be the formula. So I wanted to play Harry, who was the bad guy in the basement, who was played by Tom Tolles in the Color remake. And I said, you know, I called Tom up, I said, it's a great script, it's a lot of fun, but I want to play Harry in the basement. And Tom said, pick any character, just make sure it's Johnny. I was like, oh, because Johnny didn't really last very long. What I did do to prepare for Johnny was I watched a movie, a Boris Karloff movie called Die, Monster, Die with Nick Adams. It's like an H.P. Lovecraft story, but I kept watching it on videotape way back when. And just to get I wanted to get the accent right, because Johnny, of course, has a short part, but he does say, "They're coming to get you, Barbara." So I wanted to make sure I knew how to say that. And then when I did do the movie, there was, I did say they're coming to get you, Barbara, but we still had a long way to go to our mother's gravestone in the cemetery. So I have lived, they're horny, Barbara. They've been dead a long time. And that was, you know, George Romero was there, he liked it, so that stayed in the movie. So that was a lot of fun.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. My favourite role that you've played is Luigi Largo, and I was just wondering what was your favourite part of filming Repo the Genetic Opera?
I would have to say working with Paris Hilton. Yeah. A lot of people kind of shunned Repo the Genetic Opera, directed by Darren Bousman, because of the presence of Paris Hilton. And I thought Paris Hilton did a great job in it. She was a real trooper, she worked hard, she was a lot of fun. So that was certainly, you know, she was certainly my favorite, you know, discovery. Because I had come in also with a little prejudice from watching her show, you know, with whoever, Richie, I don't know, I forgot her first name, but what was that show that they did where they were like city girls? Yeah, right, Simple Life. You know, so that was like, but I thought she was awesome. I also really had a great time. I guess I had a bromance with Ogre from Skinny Puppy, who played Pavi, my brother rival. He was a great guy. I had never met him before until we, you know, worked on Repo. It was really a lot of fun. And Paul Sorvino was a lot of fun. The whole cast was very eclectic. The show was so ambitious. It was a crazy show. I do remember that Darren Bousman, the director, came up to me and he said, this is before we shot, and he said, I'd like you to be, I'm doing this show called Repo and I want you to be in it. I know you can kill people, but can you sing? And I said, come on, Darren, because I had given him some CDs that I had done. I had a band with Buckethead called Cornbugs. And I had given Darren a couple of Cornbug CDs, and I said, he said, can you sing? And I said, well, you've heard my Cornbug CDs. And he said, yeah, but can you sing? I was like, oh, thanks, buddy. And I did do so I had to audition, and I had to sing. And so I had prepared a song, because I do take singing lessons to this day. And I prepared a song, was ready to go, but I was nervous. And I remember getting to the studio in Los Angeles, and the person that preceded me was one of the Pussycat Dolls. I don't know if you all know the Pussycat Dolls, but this was you know, she was really belting out songs, she was kicking her legs up. I mean, I was like, oh shit, I'm screwed. But then, you know, they thanked her, and then it was like, you're next, buddy. And so I was down there like, oh man. And but then I had to do a test, and I spoke into the microphone. And the microphone they had in this particular studio in Los Angeles was amazing. It was like the magic microphone, and it made me sound really good. I wish I had it to this day. And so I sang my song, Night Surgeon, or whatever it was, and everybody was like up in the control booth going, so I got the part, I could sing, and I certainly killed a lot of people, so thanks.
Hi Bill, just wanted to ask, what was it like working with Dennis Hopper on Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2?
I didn't seem to work with Dennis very much, only in the last scene in Texas Chainsaw 2. Dennis, you know, we were working like 20-hour days. I had, I think the chop top makeup was 3.5 hours on, hour and a half off. It was an hour each way to set, and then we were doing 12-hour days. I was working like pretty much the whole day. And I do remember one morning coming in, I was just, you know, had to go to work another day. I was exhausted. And I walk in there, and there's Dennis Hopper wearing a silk bathrobe, eating at the, you know, the breakfast at the motel or whatever. And he was getting ready to put his golf clubs in the back of his rented Lincoln Continental and drive over to his buddy Willie Nelson's country club and play golf in the morning. Well, we were going to work, you know, sawing people up. So I just thought, you know, it's good to be the king, but I was not the king.
Hi Bill, going back to Repo, I loved Repo and I loved Devil's Carnival as well.
So I have no idea what that's going to turn into, but yeah, I would certainly like to do it again, but there's no word. Why don't you go ahead and write one, man?
Hi, if Rob came to you with a fourth movie to play Otis again, would you do it? Or is Otis dead?
Well, you know, I think that's like, let's do an audience participation. If I were asked to do a fourth movie as Otis, if I should say yes, please applaud. All right. I bend to the will of the people.
Does anybody got any more questions? Oh, I'm just while I'm on my way, can we talk some more about Paris Hilton?
I'll ask you this. You made a breakthrough in a sequel to Texas Chainsaw. You've been in reboots and other film series. Is there any, in an actor's mind, is there ever any concern, nervousness, pressure about going in and doing the follow-up or the remake? Or is it just the job?
It should be just a job, but of course, you know, I did 2000 Maniacs, and I followed Robert Englund as Mayor Buckman. You know, so, you know, I've been asked to fill some big shoes. Again, with Chainsaw 2, you know, my inspiration was Ed Neal, who played the Hitchhiker. And, you know, to show up as his twin brother, as it turns out, or his brother, you know, that was, you know, there were big shoes to fill there. So I just try to suit up and show up. I try to know my lines and hit my marks. I try not to really think of the big picture, because you can kind of get lost in that. So I just, yeah, I guess I'm more of a, you know, blue collar. I take a blue collar approach.
Morgan Freeman used the term an itinerant working actor. So
exactly.
All right. So you talked about what it's like working with Dennis Hopper, but what was it like working with Tobe Hooper?
It was a ball. I love Tobe Hooper, and I would just tell you an anecdote. One day we were working on the set. We were working in the radio station. You know, that was back in 1986, so we were using cameras with real film and hot lights. It was a very small, close space. It was hot. And what I'm doing in the scene that I was doing was I was smashing poor LG's head with my claw hammer. And right off camera was Tom Savini with a big a jug of stage blood pumping away. So that when I was hitting LG, this blood was spraying out from little tubes at his hairline. And each time we did another take of it, you know, everything had to be reset. Poor LG had to be cleaned up. We all had to, you know, get back to square one. And so each time I was doing it, I was coming up with new stuff. I would go, if I had a hammer, you know, banging on him, or a 1, a 2, a 3, hey, incoming mail, you know, whatever I was doing. And And sometimes, you know, sometimes the tape would stop because the claw hammer was actually made out of foam rubber, painted foam rubber with a coat hanger wire inside it, just to give it some form. And every once in a while, I would be banging away and singing, and blood would be spraying, and LG would be down on his back, and Toby would say cut, and you know, I'd go, you know what? And I'd look, and the claw hammer would be completely bowed over. It would just bend, you know, from just hitting this flimsy hammer. Well, finally, we had done maybe 12 takes of this scene. We're all hot and sticky, and you know, and Toby, and you know, we've done some good takes, and Toby said, yeah, well, that was great. Yeah, let's just do one more. And I was getting a little bit exasperated, and I turned to Toby and I said, Toby, am I doing something wrong? And he said, oh hell no, Bill, I'm just having fun watching you. And when a director says that to you, it's gold. I was so pumped, you know. And that's what he just loved watching me play Chop Top. A lot of it was improv. He really encouraged it. Really had a great time. It was a wonderful combination of script and improv, and you know, that all comes out of the director. So I would say working with Toby was really one of the highlights of my career.
And being here has been one of the highlights of ours. Our guest, Bill Mosley. My colleague Ben over here has started a tradition of doing a selfie on the stage with all of you guys in the background. So if you want to be in the selfie, step forward.
Well, I'm Pennywise, the dancing clown. Pennywise, yes. Meet Georgie, meet Pennywise. Now we aren't strangers. All right. Take it, Georgie. I'll take her. I'll take all of you. And I'll feast on your flesh as I feed on your fear. We all float down there. Yes, we do. Be Richie, time to float.
Greetings. I trust that you are all wondering where you are. Unfortunately, you only have 2 hours to live. Right now, you are breathing in a deadly nerve agent. Let the game begin. I want to play a game. The device around your neck is a death mask. The mask is on a spring timer. If you do not locate the key in time, the mask will close. So listen carefully. The hint is this. It's right before your eyes. How much blood will you shed to stay off? Make your choice. You don't know me, but I know you. I want to play a game. Most people are so ungrateful to be alive. Here's what happens if you lose. Your mouth will be permanently ripped open. This is your wake-up call. Now you will be the cause of death. Better hurry up. Hello. Are you watching me on YouTube? Good. I'd like to play a game with you. Up until now, you just sat there as a voyeur watching other people in their videos. Find the meaning, and you will live. Right now, you are being watched. And if you forget for 1 second that you are being watched, you will lose. Your body will never be found. You will simply vanish. Have you learned enough to trust me? Will you heed my warning? For if you do not, this room will forever be your tomb, and my legacy will become yours.
150 plus. Go on. 750 meals per film. Question 3 to you guys. What horror franchise launched the career of Johnny Depp? Which horror franchise launched the career of Johnny Depp? Simon Best.
Correct?
Yes. Go on. That's it. Yeah? Okay. Option 2. Next question. Reach 2.
Creations, just a hobby, kind of like evolved and turned into a little side business. Collected the little figures, kind of like kept them on the sides, but I just felt it would look a lot better in a little environment, so I made a couple, sent them to a YouTuber, he reviewed them, he just snowballed from that.
This is Pigeon Creek Studios. We make everything ourselves, from the sculpting to the mold, foam, paint, everything. Everything is done by us, all in-house. We never ask anything else. If we do molding for live cast, we either use one of us or a close friend, so it's all done here. Yeah, so for flesh tones, for our fingers and toes, what we do is we actually just get flesh ink, and then we put little dots on it, and I just take my hand and kind of squeeze it in, and then this way it kind of absorbs into the foam, so it gives us that multi-textural. If I just painted it on, it would look really flat, but just because I'm taking my hands and kind of squeezing it in, it really does help. For bigger things like hands, what we'll do is we'll use an airbrush, and we'll do purple first, and we'll just do little lines, and then we'll use blue and maybe a little red, sometimes green if we're feeling crazy, and then we'll do the flesh tone over that with the same thing, just squeezing it in. It works perfect. Yeah?
Yeah. So what kind of clay do you use?
I use wet clay, so it's WED clay, and I use that, and that's what this is made out of as well. And then I'll use the silicone over it, and I'll plaster mold it as well. So this one's a different mold than what you saw last time.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And the blood?
The blood, I use a mixture of red and purple ink, and that gives a real nice deep red tone to it, so it's more of a blood look. If I want to make it glossy and glow, I'll use an epoxy, and I could not tell you the brand of it for the life of me. But
so it's just glue then?
Yeah, it's just epoxy, so it's just a 2-part glue, and I mix it together along with the ink at the same time, and that's how I get the color.
That's quite a sculpture got here.
Yeah. That's our latest one. We're going to mold this either later on this evening or tomorrow, just depending on how fast I get done with it. Yeah.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
My name is Annie Wilkes. Dirty bird. How could you? Misery Chastain cannot be dead.
I don't want her spirit! I want her! And you murdered her!
The operation was called Hobbling. Don't even think about anybody coming for you, because I never called them. Nobody knows you're here. And you better hope nothing happens to me. Because if I die, you die.
I'm gonna tell you, you light cocksucker!
Everybody point and boo! Now back to Billy. Hello Billy, how are you? Good. Are you having fun? Yeah. You look like it. Do you want some chocolate? It's about time with the frozen. You got it, you got it. I'm watching for the reaction. Round of applause!
And we have a scarecrow. So I think it's
you going now? Ooh, the spider. Okay. I have a spot prize poster. Okay. How are you going, Mr. Judge? Another minute? Okay. Another minute. I want more prize. Okay. Who would like a spot prize? I loved your reaction. character in the movie, and I was just wondering if you could say your line just before you got blown up by the stereo, please.
You miss sucker.
Hey! Thank you very much.
I was asking Jason about the bridge sequence and hanging on the bridge. I'd always assumed that the entire thing was a set, it was a construct. He says it was a combination of a real bridge and then a set in the studio. Can you give us your memories of shooting that sequence? Because it's kind of it's Michael's entry, isn't it, into a darker world?
Yes, it was a great scene. We did shoot it on a bridge, and then we also shot it on the soundstage at Warner Brothers. And it was kind of a scary moment for me, not the physical element. We were harnessed up, and I was young and crazy and had no real fear. I was an athlete, but I was afraid when Joel said to us as we jumped off the bridge, just do something. And I'm like, do something? What do you mean? I mean I gotta act? And I didn't know what I was gonna do. And I think Brooks had bottoms up or something. And then it was my turn to jump. And I was like, what am I gonna do? And I just did this shot at him. And it was an activity, a behavior. And I was kind of happy with myself that I had something to do. And it worked, but that came out spontaneously right in the moment. But and then at the soundstage, the stuntmen were amazing. They fell from up high into probably they would land in these boxes instead of like a thing, but they stack boxes up.
Empty cardboard boxes.
Empty cardboard boxes that fall down into that. And special effects in that scene was pretty cool. Smoke and everything.
I know it was a job, I know it was work, but was it a great deal of fun to be had as well? Or was the nervousness of doing it slightly overwhelming?
Yeah, once we got into it after a couple of days, it was just fun. I mean, Joel would bring us to the set even the days we weren't working. And sometimes you have to have 12 hours turnaround, or they have to pay you a bonus. And a lot of times, you have to 12 hours sleep. Sometimes we work, and then Joel would bring us in the next day at 9 a.m. and we might have finished at 2 in the morning. So we're forced to call, they call it. They pay us a good amount of money to come in. Those days, a lot of times, we would work.
I'm a very nice guy. I can't speak to his literary taste. Yeah, so if you haven't read Salem's Lot, please read it. It's an incredible novel. And also, I want to say one thing in regards to The Shining. They have not done it properly yet. They need to do it as a series. It has to span at least 6 episodes, and they have to do the novel from the beginning until the end. And I want to see Tony. Where has Tony been in the filmic adaptations?
Well, Tony is over there, and he's going to answer more questions. Then he'll get more questions for the guys. Good segue.
Obviously, you are in the original, but what are your thoughts on the new movies?
Brandon's in one of them, so I know what his thoughts are.
Yeah.
No, I think I like them. I was rooting for the losers when we saw the first one. Like Jared said in print somewhere, it's kind of surreal knowing someone's doing something you've originated. But I think having watched it, fearing that at like 40 I'm going to be classic and dusty, which is surreal. I was so afraid, but I enjoyed the movie a lot. And I think what they did was completely different than us. So I mean, we're still here. I enjoyed the first one immensely. I found it really entertaining. A lot of people thought there was too much comedy, but I thought it was an appropriate amount of levity. Yeah, I liked it. I liked the first one. Chapter 2 is cool. It's very long. It's like reading Melville with some comedy. But I think it's a good film.
Yeah, I'll second Brandon on that too. I really enjoyed Chapter 1, Chapter 2. Chapter 1 I think I liked a little bit better, something about connecting with the kids, you know, and I thought they were amazing. Super talented kids. But my favorite part of both Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 was, of course, to watch Brandon in Chapter 2. And as soon as his face came on screen, I got like instantly happy. And so, super cool.
Emily, what did you think of the new films?
Me?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm having trouble hearing. I haven't actually seen the new ones, only because I really only, like I'm a teacher and I'm also doing a master's degree right now, and so I only really watch TV and movies with my kids. So I don't watch a lot of horror just because they're not really ready for it yet. Although my older son just turned 13, so I told him he can now watch the original It. We still haven't done it, so I'm really looking forward to that. We did just watch Stand By Me, thinking about Stephen King. I watched that with my kids and they loved it. So I love just like re-experiencing things along with my kids. But just to go back to the earlier question, I think my favorite Stephen King novel is Carrie. One of his first, I guess. I think this is Stephen King's first novel. Yeah, that's my favorite.
Wow. We've got time for one more question. And we're going to be doing another panel tomorrow afternoon as well, so please do come along and throw some more questions at us.
Hi guys, what is your take on Bill Skarsgård's performance for Pennywise, and what do you think you like about him the most?
I actually really liked Bill Skarsgård's performance as Pennywise. I liked that they went a completely different route with the Pennywise character, the costume, building on that story. The fact that he could make his face like drop down, and like I've tried to smile like that over the past couple of months and I just can't seem to make it happen.
Show us. Just do it.
It just looks like I'm having a hard time and I'm constipated.
Could you do the voice?
But I love Bill Skarsgård's adaptation of Pennywise. I just know as a child, I would have never been caught by that Pennywise because I would have never went nowhere near him. So, you know, he wasn't very appealing looking like, and I like clowns. You know, I absolutely like clowns. I grew up on them with the circus and all that, but yeah, I'd have had to like make a sharp 90-degree angle or a left, like once I saw him.
That would have been a short film. It would not have been 2 hours and 45 minutes. No. The credits roll up, you turn and run, end. That's it. Guys, that is all we've got time for today. But we'll definitely be back tomorrow afternoon. We'll be doing another panel, and we're going to go into some different things. And we're going to want some more different questions from you guys. But before we go, I want a massive, massive round of applause for Jared, Brandon, Emily, Adam, Mark, Ben. Thank you. And I want to take a selfie from the stage, so everybody come forward and I'll get in the back of the picture.
Can go. But he sent me on the script, I read it one night. I remember him, I couldn't believe what I was reading. It was so much fun, but yet had a point of view. I was actually with, Jason, we were talking about earlier, how it's not just a vampire movie. It's about finding family. It's about rebel without a cause factor, and, you know. I love the idea that the movie doesn't start off with just the vampires being vampires. It took, 40 minutes, as Jason said, before you really started to see where things were going. Which in the script was the same way too, and that's what I loved about it, because it had a great pacing. I don't want to keep going on here. But I remember the next morning getting up and going to my piano and getting an idea and going over to my guitar. But within about an hour's time, I started to get a vibe. And as things are in New York in the early 80s, it was very gothic and crack vials when you walked out of your apartment. And it was, there was a vibe in New York that kind of helped me get into writing the song. And by the time I got to my studio, it was written, having no idea that what the film looked like, you know? And when I finished writing the song, did a demo of it, put some kids on it, tracked them a few times, sent it to Joel, and he calls me 3 or 4 days later and says, "How did you know? This is incredible. I'm playing it on set." And I said, "How did I know what?" He said, "This is amazing. I want to put this song everywhere in the movie." And I said, "Well, slow down, cowboy." It was one of those, can't put it everywhere in the movie. But I had not seen the film. And by the time so I went to LA after I did the final production, produced it, and it was just sheer synergy at its best, because when I started to see the film, I'm going, I can't believe this film, because I had a whole different movie in my head. You know, when you read, it's like reading a book, you get a picture of what all the characters are. But it was just amazing, and I just started to just go down this road with Joel and help him placing the music in the film. And I couldn't believe how well it worked.
It works extremely well, and I think for those of us that saw G's live performance, I don't think we'll forget that one in a hurry. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Because we have so many guests, and because we have so many of you, I'm going to open it up straight to the audience. So if you have a question, there's one at the back already, Ben will run with the mic. And off we go.
Hi. First I want to say that I just really, really love this film, and it just holds a really special place in my heart as my favourite movie ever. And I think they've all aged beautifully, especially Billy and Alex.
I'll pay you later.
My question is for Alex. How does it feel to be able to play Bill S. Preston Esquire this year in Bill and Ted 3?
Well, I'd love to say it took many years of intense preparation to find the beloved numbskull that was lurking somewhere in my brain, but it didn't. We had a lot of fun. It was hard. It's a very physical movie, and we're old. And we're in pretty good shape, but we're still old. And we're playing opposite ourselves in many of the scenes, so it's kind of double labor. But I'm very, very proud of it. I think we've definitely made the best movie out of that script. And we had an amazing cast, we had an amazing director, and we brought a lot of people back. Say makeup effects guys came back. Guys who did Freaked, who did Bill and Ted 2, who did Lost Boys. A lot of those makeup effects people were on it. And other actors that were in the originals. So we shall see. Next summer we'll see what people think, but we had fun. Yeah.
Hi, yeah, this is for Tim. Hi Tim, over here. What was it like to perform here in Manchester in front of all of us today?
I had such a ball watching. Thank you so much. And these pyrotechnics, they kind of gave me a clue that there was going to be something special. But they definitely surprised me with that one. And watching, it's how much this movie means to so many people that I describe it as you look out, right, G? And people love this movie so much that when you're playing, everybody's got these huge, ugly smiles. You know when you're smiling too much and if somebody takes a picture of you, you go, oh shit, oh. That's what we love to see, and
we know that it couldn't have been anything but everybody on the stage and so many other people. So thank you so much. It makes my heart very, very happy.
My question is for Jameson, who forms 50% of the iconic duo, the Frog Brothers. Where was the inspiration drawn from for these two characters? Because there was times where, you know, the pair of them was both so, you know, comedic with the lines and the one-liners, as you know, we all very well know. You know, where was that inspiration drawn from for them two characters? And was it their first vampire stakeout?
No, well, that's interesting. I mean, I think it was not our first, but it was our biggest, you know, from the beginning. So I think, the inspiration for these characters really, that's your question, right? Was that your question? So, like, okay, so originally when the script was written, I hear that it was more of like a Goonies, like a littler kids and stuff. And when Schumacher decided to make it into this little more mature, a little more intense, a little darker movie, you know, the Frog Brothers, from the beginning, I didn't know for a while that this was funny, our stuff, because he was so intent on making us just this angry, like, really intense crew, you know, So Schumacher got us to be just really committed to being badasses. And I think that's where it came from. I mean, obviously, Feldman and I had it in us to carry that out, but like Schumacher was like, you know, okay, so as an example, when we came to Santa Cruz, I got sick on we went on the Ferris wheel and I got sick because I get motion sickness. And Feldman was like, I'm gonna tell Joel. And I was like, don't you tell Joel that I got sick, you know. So we were just really trying to pull off this really tough thing. I think that's where the inspiration comes in. Oh, don't get me started. They were trying to get me to do a Christopher Walken impression, but I'm not. No, yes. We gotta warm it up a little bit. I thought it was really intense, you know. I really loved stepping into the role of these vampire hunters because it wasn't something I normally play. So I actually changed. I shapeshifted into these kids because I really was Christopher Walken, and I am again. And here we go. Sorry. Thanks, brother.
Hi, my question is for Alex, and it is about Bill and Ted. I'm sorry, because I'm super excited. But I want to ask about, you talk about returning characters, and obviously George Carlin passed away, Rufus. Is it going to be another way to fulfill that role? I mean, obviously you can never replace him.
Excuse me, sorry.
Or is it going to be some sort of homage?
Sorry.
Yeah, well, obviously we talked a lot. The script was developed over some years with the two writers, and Keanu and myself. And it was one of the first things we discussed when we were developing was what do we do with Rufus. And we decided pretty early on not to go into digital necrophilia land. So there is no posthumous George in the movie. It just didn't seem respectful. And especially of all people, to put words into George Carlin's mouth, of all people, seems like quadruply disrespectful. So we didn't do that. So we found a way to weave his character into the film. It's actually a fairly important part of the film, but it's due to his family members and other people that are around him, because the future plays a big part in this movie. So I don't want to give it all away, but we certainly address it head on, and it's something that kind of weaves through the whole story.
Just before I come back to you guys, I want to bring Chance in. I want to reference something that Jason said earlier, that some of the teenagers were in their late teens, that they were relative newcomers to movies. Billy referenced this as well. You were 9 or 10 years old and you were already a veteran. And I want, in their terminology, and I wanted to ask you about almost being the older guy, you know, the older actor, having more experience than some of the older guys working on the film. Is that how you remember it?
That is not how I remember it. That was the first thing I ever did. But I think what maybe Billy was referring to is, for a 9-year-old, I think now that I look back that I have kids.
Cool cat, and you had the vibe of a veteran.
Well, I look at my, I have an 11-year-old and a 7-year-old at home, and I look at them and I thought when she turned 10, I go, you know, I was your exact age when I was on the set, and I couldn't imagine her kind of doing what we were doing at that time, because it was really, it was so cool and we were super free. And I heard Billy talking about where Joel was kind of corralling everyone to keep everybody in check, so to speak. It's kind of how it was. So the veteran part, I think maybe was the old soul in me.
That may have been my interpretation of what they said to me.
Yeah.
Okay, Ben?
Right down the front. I was actually just I'm wondering if I can maybe hear from Jason. What it's like to come back together with as many members of the cast and the people that have been involved in this movie for the first time in 32 years, to have this many people on the one stage and to be in the same building. How does that feel?
I mean, it's a little surreal, you know? I mean, as I said, you know, Jamie, the last time I saw him was 14 years old. I've seen Billy a little bit. I ran into Alex a while ago, but Tim and G, none of us have all been together. But it makes you look at your life and the circle that it becomes. And as I said earlier, the good thing about this sort of gypsy work that we do as actors is you make these very intense connections, have very intense experiences. They become part of you somewhat, and if you're lucky, you get to visit again, and that's the situation. So I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, at the risk of being sappy, I will say that I mean, we haven't all been together. I haven't seen Chance since he was a little kid. And you, to Jason's point, you end up like a family, and then it all kind of breaks apart, and then you sort of go on with your life. I can't speak for everybody, but I can say that I can surmise that for many of us that made that film, it was a seminal period in all of our lives. It was somewhat to do with our age. You know, when you're at that age, a big summer like that is just going to be a big memorable summer no matter what. But the experience of making the film, which has not been the case with me with every film I've done, was particularly communal, sort of the environment that Joel is famous for creating. Creates these very sort of family, communal sort of experiences. So it was a very potent experience in my youth. So I don't know, I felt kind of moved seeing you guys today, to be totally honest with you. It's like coming back and seeing family again, you know. I go on the Warner Brothers lot today and I immediately think, oh shit, I remember like you know, fetching with Jason about something in the back alley by a stage or whatever it is. Now, you know, we've all done other work since then. It just has a very heightened kind of place in my heart because of the potency of the experience. And we did also have a really good time. Joel knows how to make a set really fun, and sets can often not be fun. It can be very hard work and not glamorous and kind of drudgery. And Lost Boys was a shit ton of fun to make. So.
Hi, this is for G. Tom Mack. You teased us earlier saying that the Lost Boys musical is going to come to the West End. Do you have any vague idea when, and when's the best place to keep in touch with that news?
Well, if you know anything about musicals, and Jason knows a little bit about musicals and stage plays, we're actually ahead of the game. But I've worked on this thing for about. The concept came about 5-7 years ago, and then slowly I started. I didn't know if it really would work because first I've studied musical theater, so I understand what does work. And vampires never really worked on the stage, and kind of a lot of them have flopped. Lestat and things like that. I mean, brilliantly written by Elton John and what have you, but didn't work. So, but Lost Boys Madness kept coming back and haunting me in a way where I thought, you know, this could be a musical, but I don't want to, excuse me, fuck it up. I really want to maintain. You can't just copy the movie, you know, but you have to be true to the film at the same time. And I wanted to keep all those things in me that we did as actors and composers that got the film across and the story in the first place. So I was able to create a backstory. So what I'm saying here is these things are writes and rewrites and songs. It's the hardest thing I've ever done. So to answer your question, I've been in London. I was in London for a month in summer for the West End version of it, and also in New York for the Broadway. They're both the same version. It's just different temperaments of how they work in England here and in America. Anyway, we're hoping for 2021. For the West End, and then we'll probably move in to New York about 6 months later. But there's a whole bunch. We go to La Jolla to do, you know where that is? It's in California. It's a place where we kind of try things out and see what's working. And yeah, but it's my producers are pretty incredible. They've been very successful in plays like Wicked and this, that, and the other. And they've given me a lot of support because they believe in it. But these things take a while, and I like to say 2021, but you know, it could be a bit longer, but not much. But anyway, the soundtrack's out now, which was their idea because they believed in what it was, so you can stream it and do all that, as I mentioned earlier. Sorry for the longer of that. But it's kind of hard to talk about when it is going to release, but just keep following and you'll know. Thank you. Okay.
I'm going to ask a question myself, if that's okay. The legacy of the Lost Boys has endured, and even into today, we've seen films like Us, like Jordan Peele's Us. It's got a huge Lost Boys vibe. Has it surprised any of you guys, really? I mean, Jason, Tim, Jameson, everyone, like, how do you feel about the legacy of the film? Has it surprised you that it's lived on in other movies?
Well, you know, Joel Schumacher was always telling us on the set that we were making film history, right? You guys remember that? But he was sort of joking, like he wasn't totally serious, but maybe he was, and he saw it. I'm totally surprised, but not surprised at all then when I look at the movie, right? I mean, I watched it again like 10 years ago. I finally could see it without just like criticizing every little move I made, you know? And I was like, this is a good movie. So in that part, I'm not surprised.
The fact that it dealt with so many themes that were, you know, universal in the human condition of family, brotherhood, alienated youth, you know, the grandparents, the single motherhood, you know, all these things, they last on. It was an elevated horror film. It wasn't just a horror film. It had real story and those kind of films, you know, can stand the test of time, which this does, because it was really quality filmmaking, from the cinematography to the screenplay to the costume design to the music. I mean, it had all the elements, so it doesn't surprise me after, you know, seeing the film that it still works today. You know.
Can I ask the actors who played the vampires a fairly basic question? I'm always full of admiration for actors and what you do, because I can't do it, and most of us can't do it. In this movie, you were called upon not just to act, but you also had all the special effects and the visual effects, the fangs and the teeth. It's a very basic question, but how the hell did you cope doing the job with all of the... Because I understand that the contact lenses were very difficult and you couldn't wear them very long. Can we have an answer on that?
Yeah. Well, I can't speak for Billy and Alex, because I wasn't in vampire getup as much as they were, nor hanging upside down with the glass, you know, contacts in. But the one thing that I had the most trouble with was we actually had to go to a nail salon and get real nails, like acrylic nails put on. They weren't Lee press-ons that you took off every night. And so as a 10-year-old, 9-year-old, very active skateboarding young kid, I had these on for however long we were filming. That was kind of a pain in the ass. But the eyes did hurt, and I think I know where Alex is going with this, the contact.
Yeah, I mean, the makeup in Lost Boys was actually really minor. It was Greg Canham, who was a genius, came up with this. We were shooting, we had a long shoot, but we didn't have a luxurious shoot, and Joel needed us to get in and out of the makeup quickly, so Greg was tasked with coming up with a look for the vampires that would be extremely quick to apply and take off. So the makeup was actually far less intense than it's been on other projects even that I've done by a long shot. It was a very simple forehead appliance and teeth and contacts, and that was pretty much it. The problem was in the old days, which is when we shot this movie in prehistoric times, contact lenses were basically, it was like a half a ping pong ball that had been cut off and painted and then just jammed into your eyeball. It was very hard and very dry, and so for my death scene, like I landed in a pile of dirt and then had like Jameson, Corey, and like kicking dirt into my eyes, like shoveling it with their feet, like literally shoveling it in my feet until I was like in an ambulance going to a hospital because they had scratched my cornea. It was good times.
I also think he did minimalize the makeup, but I also think they went through many trials, and the aesthetic of the full-on was too much. He wanted us still to look semi-human.
Totally.
Because some of the other trials we were looking real beastly. But
that's right. That's what I forgot about that. With even our regular look was pretty far out, and then it all got pulled back. That's right. Yeah.
Okay, audience, Ben. Yeah.
Hi there. I just want to know, there's so many iconic performances and characters in the movie. I just want to know, Jason, if you were to go back in time and had the opportunity to play a different character, what would that be and why? Who would that be and why?
Probably Nanook, I would say. Or maybe Billy, because he got the most ladies. No, it's interesting when you say that because, I mean, and they touched on it, it's one of the rare movies that every single little component matters, because if they were gone, it wouldn't be the movie. If that dog wasn't in there, it's really not the movie.
Maybe tried to push it, and he was right there. He was right there to pull us right back and being, you know, deadly serious. And also, I got to hand it to Feldman that, you know, Feldman, he takes a lot of heat for being kind of nuts, you know. I mean, he is. We all are. I mean, you know, in certain ways. But when we work together, and it happens today too, actually, because we do various little videos and various little things, you know, together. And he's really good to work together. I mean, maybe it's just us. I don't know how other actors feel about Feldman, but we had this really good chemistry together that was very much about Feldman and I being very generous with each other, but it was also about Schumacher from day one getting us to hang out together, me and Feldman and Hank, while everybody else was off shooting, you know, these night scenes and everything. We were just hanging out at the hotel, and we were just building up that chemistry, and I think that's probably a lot of it.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say how much I loved the film. I was only about 5 or 6 when it came out, but I grew up with it and absolutely love it. I just wondered if any of you wanted to share some of your favourite memories or funny moments from making the movie.
Well, I can share you a real moment that looking back is kind of funny. So I had my one big scene in the movie was when I came out of the bed, right? So leading up to that, I had no clue sort of what it was. It's pretty simplistic, the idea of it. It was just an air compressor under a bed with a hole cut in it, maybe some confetti and some dead things, and it came out. Well, we did the scene, and I wouldn't go back in. I became petrified. I don't know what happened. I couldn't go back in. I was crying. And so they put Larry, who was a fantastic stunt double, in. He did probably 4 or 5 takes. And to this day, it's still, you know, that moment. I look back and I laugh at it now, but that was a very real moment. I was scared shitless, to be quite frank. No, it's funny now because I look back, I go, it's just an air compressor, what was I doing? But that was a real moment, so I'll share that with you.
Hi, how you doing? As you guys probably know, Santa Cruz, every year they show the movie on the beach. I was just wondering, have you ever snuck along just to reminisce and sat on the beach and watched it, or are there any plans for maybe on down the line, having a reunion there to get Tim on the stage ripping things up?
Well, I just played Santa Cruz. I don't know, at 64, I just decided I was going to do the first tour that I ever did under my own name, so I toured around the States all summer. And I had to go to Santa Cruz, and I just want to say that there's an element to the Lost Boys that I've always felt. So going back after 32 years, haven't been there since. I pictured the writer of The Lost Boys just going through and spending a day or two in Santa Cruz. And that movie, if you're a really creative, great writer, would just come to you because that town is that town. That town is a character in that movie. And when you go, it's such a still, hippie, slacker, stoner town, and they're doing their very best to gentrify Santa Cruz right now. And I gotta tell you guys, it ain't gonna happen.
I'll tell you my experience in Santa Cruz, and I'd never even been there really, and it was about 3 or 4 years ago they asked me to come up and perform on the beach before they watched the film. So I went up and I did, of course, Clyde's sister. Just me and an acoustic guitar. But the sound guy had it really well hooked up. I mean, and there was like 6,000 people on the beach getting ready to watch the movie. And it was bloody well cold. And I'm freezing. And this is summer. I'm going, this is what it's like in Santa Cruz in June. And, but it was a great experience in that watching a full-on audience, and I'm not telling you a word of a lie, it was like 6,000 people on the beach watching the film. And after I performed, and that went great, and what have you, and then I stood at the back up on one of the railings and watched the audience watch the movie, and that was a trip. Because here we are in the very place where the film was made, Santa Carla, and yeah, it was a trip.
I've got a question for Jason Patrick, if that's okay. Obviously, we're here for The Lost Boys, and you're Michael, and you're incredible. One of my favourite films we've ever done was Nah, with Joe Carnahan. It's absolutely sensational performance, and I don't know whether you're a method actor or you look to for your influences, but did you take a particular... What was your take on Michael? Where did you get him from? Was it inspired by other vampires? Was it inspired by something else you'd seen? Or was it just winging it?
For Michael? I mean, in this movie?
Yes, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I told Joel, you know, early on when he kept trying to get me to do the movie that I didn't want to make a vampire movie. So we talked about, what about making a movie about a boy whose parents got divorced, didn't want to take the role of his father, all of a sudden got pulled into something, his sexual awakening. As I said, I used the vampire aspect as a drug analogy, and someone who got pulled into something because he felt nothing. And I felt if we did that, then it was universal. If we did that, people could relate to it on a human level. And anyone who got into the genre aspect, that would also work. And so I absolutely approached it that way. So when he started, after having that blood, it was really just substance, and substance taking over your body, and desire taking over the body, much like someone who's addicted to something, yeah.
I just want to add one thing about Jason's performance, if I can, which is that, I was a New Yorker, and I got the script. It was super cool, and I auditioned a few times, and I rode motorcycles, like, this is going to be badass, it's going to be fun. And I remember getting to the shoot and meeting Jason for the first time and talking about his characterization and like how he was coming at the role. And I was like, oh shit, this is like a serious movie. But in a good way. And then it was like, and then there's Diane Weiss, and then there's Bernard Hughes, and then there's this incredible Ed Herman cast that Joel had built. And it was a bit of a shock to the system because I didn't have much preparation in terms of thinking about concepting the film in my head that way before I actually got there. But I remember being so grateful that sort of the lead actor in the movie was anchoring it in such coming at it in such a grounded way. And it elevated all of our game, I felt like.
One thing I want to add also on that is that I feel like we were talking about why the film has endured, and I think that that's part of it is because the people at the top of it, the people at the top of the credits, who had the lead roles, really that you guys were. It wasn't a vampire. It wasn't just a vampire movie. You carried it because it was you took it all the way. You took it all the way acting-wise. You and Kiefer and Corey, and it was. And I think that that's a big part of it is that it grounded this movie in a way that you don't always get with a movie that's also got all these other through other elements.
We are running out of time, and I'm very sorry about that. We've spoken about some of the other actors who are no longer with us, but we haven't really said very much about the actor who's coming here tomorrow for a few hours as our flying visit, Mr. Kiefer Sutherland. I hate to ask you what was it like working with, but he's such a key component to the film. He's a great villain, and like Jason, he brings maturity to his performance, which was beyond his years. To any one of you, to all of you, do you want to say something about Kiefer Sutherland?
I didn't realize that Jason was 19, and I think, how old was Kiefer? 19, I can't believe you guys were such professionals and real actors. I mean, I was like lost. I was a lost boy. But to see you guys and what you were, your presence and your depth, and I can't believe it. I mean, you guys, were the real thing. And like you said, they anchored the dramatic narrative. And, I had what I could handle, and I guess, that's just how it goes. But it's taken me 30 years to even feel comfortable on a set in front of a camera, and you guys had it back then. But Kiefer was amazing. He had an innocence about him, but he also, was seasoned. He had done Stand By Me, and he was a great actor. And, but he was also, fully committed. But he was also a kid too. I mean, he lived up to Brooke and I in some ways. But there was a kind of nice innocence about him, but at the same time, the guy had deep chops. And Jason.
I want to add something about Kiefer, which is that, so I didn't see Kiefer that much on set because our scenes didn't really align, but there's two things I remember. One is that the scene on the beach where he bites that guy's head. I saw him pitching that idea to the director or to the sci-fi, to the special effects guy. And I just, as I think back on that, and what a cool moment that was, he was like, I want to, that guy, that bald guy, I want to bite his head. So, you know, to his credit. And then also, when like a few months later we were doing looping, you know, redubbing some scenes that the sound wasn't right on, and I got to see the scene where like he was grabbing Corey Haim's foot in the cave, and then and he burns his hand, and a tear comes out, and I was like, oh, this is amazing! Like this guy is amazing. So that's what I want to add about you.
I have to jump in there for 1 minute as we praise Kiefer. I have to speak for Kiefer. That moment you're talking about, which is amazing and seems so emotional, if he was sitting here today, he would say his eyes were watering from the contact lens, and they caught it at the exact moment. And he loves it. He's got the credit for that, but he says total accident and bad contact lens.
I just wanted to say one thing about writing the theme song, and this applies to both Kiefer and Jason. When I was reading the script, the inspiration, I had no idea, I didn't even know who the actors were. And the biggest fear was, I hope these actors have a vibe about them in this trilogy with Star. Having no idea, and I didn't know who, Joel didn't tell me who was in the film. And once I got with him in LA, and I was so bloody nervous. I remember the opening scene of the film had my voice, he wanted from the get-go. I said, take my voice out, just leave it the choir. And everybody looked at me, my manager, are you committing artist suicide? What are you doing here? I said, no, man. Those choir voices is what needs to go over that water, not me. But as we got into the film a bit deeper, I was watching Jason's moves. Just as an actor, and I'm going, thank God this guy's got this, it's that thing. I wrote this song around these characters that you read, but Jason so had the fucking vibe. And then when I started to see where Kiefer was at, and the rest of the boys, but it was meant, I was really writing around Kiefer, Jason, and of course, Jamie Gertz, Star. And yeah, and each step of the way I'm going, it was one of those things, you just hope the song worked against the characters. And it just gave me shivers watching you guys perform and knowing that there was a thematic thing going on here that was really working. I want to say one thing about this guy. Did he kill it today? Tim Capella? I'll tell you a wild story. Really quickly, we met in New York before Lost Boys in a studio. We used to pass each other. It was in Long Island City. Remember that? And then he went on to do Tina's stuff. And anyway, but that's what I wanted to say about Jason and Kiefer and how an incredible, the inspiration got even that much deeper with Krylo's sister as the film got into it a bit more.
Thank you. Hi guys. I just wanted to say, because I've got a lot of love for the vampire genre, and your footprint in this genre is incredible. Like, if you look at the makeup and the hand setting on fire, if that didn't inspire Buffy, what the hell? There's lots going on there that you guys you've really made a mark in a genre that is not only really, really old and ancient and myth-based, but has moved into such a vital part in our media. And I was wondering, did you guys notice at the time that this was going to be a huge joining part of the legacy? Or did you think it was just going to be something that was going to be a really good film, but wasn't going to affect the vampire genre that much?
I don't know if I... Go ahead. I don't know if I thought about it, when you were talking, I was just thinking about the vampire movies that came after us. And my dear friend Brooke, who we all love and miss, and I'm not sure, but I think he made this button. I think it was his phrase, but he made a button that said, "Real vampires don't fucking glitter." And I never saw that movie where the vampires glitter, but I got another story my first con at Milton Keynes. What? Yeah, Robert Pattinson came up to us because he was there for Harry Potter, and he came up to us and he was a fan of the movie, and we signed, I think, autographs. You know, everybody signs for the other actors, and he really was a fan. And then later he went on to do Twilight, but it's just a funny story. But Brooke was, you know, the best, and if you got to meet him, you loved him, and I know you loved his performance. But we miss him, and we miss Corey, we miss Ed, we miss Bernard Hughes. But you know, cheers.
Okay, we know that vampires are timeless, but unfortunately we are out of time. Get on your feet, make some noise. Thank you to our guests.